I have a test tomorrow and I don't understand binomial and probability distributions. I'm gonna fail.
I hear probability and binomial distributions.
Help me study for tomorrow.
Well, I'm not taking a math this year, but I got a friend who can help. But first, I have to summon him. I am small mathasaurus-rex. Who needs the help with the maths?
Can you help me? I really need to study for tomorrow. Give me your wisdom now.
Sure. What do you need helps with? The maths? The hard maths? The algebra maths? What you need help with?
I really need help with probability distributions and binomial distributions. I have no clue what's going on. I don't know how to do them, and I don't know the calculator functions. I need you to tell me how to do this.
Hey, don't stress out. It's really easy to do the probability math. Here, let me show you. For probability distribution, it provides the probabilities of occurrences of probabilities of different outcomes, and it's divided into two classes, which are discrete and continuous. The difference between discrete and continuous is that discrete is countable, like the number of students in your class today, versus continuous, which is measurable, like how tall you are. It can go on forever and ever. The probability of the event is the sum of all the probabilities of the outcomes that satisfy the event, and the sum of the probabilities must equal 1. I can't stress to you how important that is. It must equal 1. For this probability distribution, it says, use the frequency distribution to construct a probability distribution. A survey asks 200 households how many cars they owned. And the first question is asking us to find the mean and write a sentence in the context of this problem. Okay, so to find the probability, you have two households divided by 200. So you go to your list 3 and you hit enter and go to second 2, which is list 2, it inputs list 2, and you divide it by 200. And once you do that, it gives you the number of probabilities.
The probabilities that a certain household owns X amount of cars?
Yes.
Cool.
So here we have written all of the possibilities from the calculator. Next question asks to find the mean and write a sentence in the context of this problem. So to find the mean, you go to stat, calc, one variable statistics, and you input list 1 into the list, and frequency list is list 2. And then you hit calculate, and boom, X bar is your mean. All right, so we wrote our sentence, and it says, a typical household owns 2.3150, or about 2 cars on average. Okay, so question B asks us for the standard deviation, so if you go to your calculator, standard deviation is the little swirly thing, which actually means population of X, and that is 1.0372, so that's your standard deviation. And for the last question, it asks for the variance, which is just the standard deviation squared. So again, if you put your calculator out and you type in the standard deviation, which is 1.0372, and you square it, it equals 1.0758, and that is your variance. Okay, now for binomial distribution. The binomial distribution is a discrete probability of number of successes of n, and they are independent experiments. So they don't change based on one another in the question. And the question asks a yes or no. N is the number of trials, whereas P is the probability of successes. The requirements for this question is that the number of trials has to be fixed, and the trials are independent from each other. The probability is always the same throughout. they don't change. All right, so to solve this is that you use a binomial PDF versus binomial CDF. Okay, binomial PDF is the probability of X successes in n number of trials. And CDF is exactly the same thing as PDF, except for there is a specific fixed number of trials. You use binomial PDF when the question has a few of the following: all, half, none, or a fixed number of X. And you use CDF when the question has no more than / do not exceed, less than or fewer than, at least, more than, or more, no fewer than X, or no less than X. And you also use CDF when it's between two numbers. Okay, so this is our binomial distribution question. It says, among the students at SEGS AH, 38% say they go home for weekends. Suppose you randomly sample 10 students and ask if they go home for weekends. What is the probability that the number of students who go home on the weekends is A, exactly 2, B, more than 2, and C, between 2 and 5? And the last question also asks to find the mean and interpret it in a sentence. Okay, students, so to figure out what to do for exactly 2, you go to your calculator. You go to second vars, and you go all the way down until you see binomial PDF. It's PDF because it asks for exactly one number of trials. So for trials, you do 10 because there's 10 students, 0.38 because it's 38%, and 2 because it's looking for exactly 2 in your X value. And then you hit paste, and you get this. So this is what you have to write down. So we wrote down our answer, which is binom PDF 10, 0.38, 2, and it equals 0.1419. Okay, so for the next question, it asks for more than 2. So before we even start this, you have to do 1 minus because it's looking for more than one number. So in your calculator, you just put 1 minus. There she is. She's just chilling there for right now. And then you go to second vars, all the way down to CDF because it's looking for more than one exact number. And then you put in your trials, which is 10. Your P is 0.38. Your X value is 2. Is that right? Yeah, it's 2. And you put that all in the calculator, and you get -1 binomial CDF 10.38, 2, and it equals 0.7983. All right, for our last question, it asks between 2 and 5 inclusive. Inclusive means including 2 and 5. Don't leave those out. They'll be very angry. So you put them in your list, like so, and you get 2 through 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And you just add all of those probabilities up. So for our answer, we added up all of those probabilities, 2 through 5 inclusive, and you got 0.8054. Okay, so now for our last question of the day, it says find the mean and interpret it in a sentence. So to find the mean, you just do n times p. In your calculator, it says, wow, that's not right. It says 0.38 times 10 equals 3.8000. So on your sentence, it says, on average, 3.8000 students, or about 4 students, say they go home on the weekends. And that's how you do binomial distribution.
Oh, this is really easy. Thank you so much for teaching me how to do this, Mathasaurus-rex. Now I can pass my test tomorrow.